In year 2 of operating my Airbnb business, I was able to gross over $1 million. And we're in year 3 right now, and my goal in the next 365 days is to net $1 million on Airbnb. And here is exactly how I'm doing that. Hey, what's going on? My name is Kyle Stanley. If you haven't been watching our content here on the Fearless Investor channel, and if you aren't following us on our biggest Airbnb Facebook page in the world, Airbnb Masterminds, then I just want to give you a really quick update on where my story is so that you understand I'm not just some fly-by-the-night kind of guy. I started Airbnb in 2015 as just a room out of my home. I didn't really know about the opportunity though. I was really happy with the $1,000 a month that I was making as just a room out of my house. And then in 2019, I found out how you can do Airbnb without actually owning the home through the arbitrage and the co-hosting model. And so as soon as I found that out, that was that light bulb moment that I was like, okay, this is a serious, legitimate business. And as someone who had been struggling as an entrepreneur really for most of my life, I finally found that exit strategy that I knew I could scale very quickly. In under a year, we were at 6 figures. In under 18 months, we were at right around $250,000 in net. And now here we are, year 3. And the goal, like I mentioned, is to net $1 million on Airbnb. So where I really want to take this video is to show you how I've done it and how now you can follow some very simple steps to be able to start grossing and netting your first million on Airbnb. We all have to start somewhere, and so the very first step is getting your first listing. And I think in order to get your first listing, you need to understand the difference and the opportunity that there is in doing it with other people's properties versus your own. So when you do your own property, right, you have to buy the house or you have to already own it. You have to put up all the furnishing costs, and that can get really expensive and really difficult to scale unless you just have tons and tons of money available. So the better way, and this is what I found out in 2019, is to arbitrage and also to co-host. So arbitrage, you lease it from an owner with their permission, that's the big thing, and then you're going to sublease it on Airbnb and you keep all the profits after the expenses. Incredible way to make a ton of money on Airbnb. We're not gonna get deep into that right now, but then the other one is co-hosting, which is essentially just managing for someone else. They pay for everything, you manage the day-to-day, and you earn a percentage based on how much you bring in for that owner. Now that you understand exactly the different types, we need to go out and get an LLC because we want to sign these properties in our LLC. And then once you have your LLC, it's time to go find that property. HotPads, Zillow, Facebook Marketplace, these are all great places to find properties. And once you connect with that owner, we need to get into problem-solving mode for these landlords. What are some of the issues that they're dealing with? Maybe it's tenants not paying on time. Maybe it's squatters. Maybe it's the condition of the home. As an owner, we have all these different issues. So if I had someone come to me and say, hey, have you ever thought about short-term rentals at your property? My first questions would be, is there parties? Won't the place get trashed? What if someone wants to squat in the property? And we know as a short-term rental operator that we can actually solve these problems. And if you're not sure how to have that conversation, I've got 2 resources for you. Like I mentioned, we have the biggest Facebook page in the world for Airbnb hosts. It's Airbnb Masterminds. Just go search that. You can post questions anytime. And then the other one is my website, fearlesskyle.com. Right on the homepage, you have an opportunity to watch my masterclass called How to Get Your First Airbnb in the Next 30 Days. And we talk about this kind of concept of what to say to landlords. And once you've mastered that pitch and you've been able to successfully convince a landlord to either rent or co-host with you, now you gotta sign that lease or sign that contract and you're off and running. And that brings up my second step on how to be able to make your first million on Airbnb. We need to automate the day-to-day operations of an Airbnb. It is so easy to get into the day-to-day of all of this, from cleaning to repairs to communicating with guests to turnovers to talking to cleaners to talking to landlords. There's so much that we have to do in this business, and if we're doing all of it, then we're both the CEO and the janitor of our business, and there's no way you can grow to $1 million if you're doing everything on your own. So the easiest way to offload at least the communication and the calendar management and pricing, I'm gonna give you 2 different types of technology. Number 1 is called Hospitable. Hospitable, you can literally automate 80 to 90% of your communication with your guests. This is an incredible tool that a third party has developed specifically for Airbnbs and VRBOs that allows us to be able to send check-in instructions instructions, to thank people for reserving, to ask certain questions upon someone trying to reserve before we ever have to lift our phone and actually type it ourselves. What I also love about Hospitable is if someone books, my cleaning team or anyone on my team can get notified that they have a specific job to do at a specific time in order to make that turnover and guess a 5-star experience. And then my other favorite one is Price Labs. You can actually get a link down below to Price Labs' free 30-day trial, as well as an onboarding call and training from someone at Price Labs. And what I love about it is that it's going to make you more money, and it's going to remove the minutia of having to figure out what to price your homes at, how often are you supposed to raise your rates, drop your rates, and it's gonna increase your income and reduce the time that you spend on your calendar. Now, technology can only take us so far, so we have to build an amazing team around that technology and around our systems. And that is my number 3 step, is building a team to help you 100% remove yourself from the business. So I'm willing to bet the first person that comes to mind as a teammate is a cleaner, and you would be absolutely right. The number of cleaners is really important. We're not gonna get into that right now, but I wanna talk about some other teammates that would really make this process so much easier for you, including interior designers. They will help to automate those setups. Repairmen, you don't have to go to the properties if there's a little thing that's wrong. Runners, if we need to replace inventory or we need to be able to check on the quality of a house. Things like that are going to help to offload the day-to-day activities. And if you find the right people that are going to be loyal to your business, then you can have a great team for life potentially. And I know what you're thinking, well, that is the tricky part, right? Is the people. And this is one of my things that I'm most passionate about, is that if you treat people right in your business and you actually help them grow with you, you're probably going to have people that will stick with you for the lifetime of your business. That's something that I teach all my students, not something I'm gonna go into right now, but we have a very blessed business in California and Arizona where people who come and work for us, they stay with us. And by the way, as I'm going into all of these 5 steps that I'm mentioning, I really wanna ask you, which of these do you want me to do a deeper dive into? I'll make another video just for you if you tell me in the comments down below which of these you feel like, hey, I'm struggling the most with this. Maybe it's building the team, starting the LLC, pitching to landlords. I'd be happy to make another video or refer you to another video that I've already made. The 4th step, and I think the most important if you wanna grow this business, is an abundance mindset. By abundance mindset, I mean you're gonna scream to the world what you're doing. You're gonna tell everyone that you're doing Airbnb, and you're gonna back it up by knowing what you're doing and being the expert. One of the number 1 things that blew up my business was back in 2019. I reached out to one of the biggest real estate investor meetup groups in my town, and I told the guy who was leading it, hey, I wanna help take one of these meetings off your shoulders and present the topic of Airbnb. Was I an expert at that time? By no means, but I knew more than anyone else in that room about Airbnb, and I just shared what I knew. At that moment, all these people, there was about 40 people in the room, said, wow, Kyle's the Airbnb guy. I now have an Airbnb guy in my Rolodex in case someone wants to do Airbnb, learn more about Airbnb, have their house managed by an Airbnb operator or manager, and I became that guy for over 40 different people all at once. What does that mean for me today in my business? Well, this guy rings with serious leads about every 2 to 3 days with people who are absolutely wanting to change their long-term rental into a short-term rental and want me to either rent it or co-host it on Airbnb. And the 5th and final step is to scale this business with other people's money. It's the same thing we do in real estate, right? If we go to buy a flip, we're typically not going to buy that home with all of our own money. We're gonna either take out a loan, we're gonna get some hard money, private money, and we're going to put that towards the house, sell it, and go do it again. If we just use our own money, we can only maybe do 1 or 2 flips at a time. Same thing with Airbnb. If I'm restricted by money, which means I have to have a certain amount available to me at any given time in order to just open 1 unit, then I have to say no to all these other opportunities. So if I have to say no to other opportunities, I've now created a bottleneck for myself where I can't grow my business. One of our best strategies that we've been able to use is other people's money in order to grow our business and continue to scale and scale and scale to where sometimes we have as many as 6 or 7 setups all at one time. So if you want to learn how to use other people's money and scale this business quickly, I'm going to encourage you to go over to my masterclass, fearlesskyle.com, and I already mentioned it. It's right there on the homepage, and you can see how you get your first Airbnb in the next 30 days. And part of it, we're also teaching you how to scale this with other people's money.